Hey everyone, it is March 1st. That means it's time for another video blog where we are going to review what I've been buying, what I've been selling, and what I've been keeping from the month of February, or however the heck you pronounce the second month of 2025. So bear with me here in the buying segment. I'm going to be talking about my current mindset for submitting raw cards for grading. In the selling segment, I'll review my accounting dashboard and my financial performance for the year. And in the keeping segment, I'm going to walk through some of the cards I got signed in person at both spring training and the Innings Festival, baseball-inspired music festival down in Tempe, Arizona. So hope you like it. Let's jump right in. Well, the key theme for February 2025 was store up grain to prepare for famine. And what that means practically when talking about sports cards is I was trying to shed inventory to build up cash for some looming future expenses, namely my first ever submission to grading, which will result in a charge of around $800 at some point in the near future in the next couple of months whenever PSA starts to process that order. So that was my key theme for the month. But let's go ahead and look at what I've been buying for the month of February. The spoiler alert here is I've been buying cards for in-person autographs. I've been buying Topps Gold Parallels, which if you have stuck with this channel for a little bit, that is no surprise to you. Some bulk cards where I've been choosing some raw cards for grading, and we're going to spend a little bit more time on that. So jumping here to the eBay window, my main purchases came on eBay this month. There were a couple I think I had on Reddit, but no need to go over those because those were real small for the personal collection. So you can see here, Jessica Mendoza, fun card. This one will come into play in the third segment of the video because I got it signed in person. Very good. This 2007 Topps lot, this came from the same seller where in January I bought quite a few bulk lots. This one included a lot of base cards, some inserts, as well as some numbered parallels. And I chose some of the few select good ones to sell as singles, and I listed the rest as either small player lots or as bulk lots. And then on that same day, the seller made me aware of a listing he made with some awesome Topps Gold parallels, including a couple of big ones, Jose Altuve and Paul Goldschmidt rookie cards from the 2011 Topps Update set. So really excited to get those in. Pretty fair price, all things considered, for the two of them. I probably will submit those for grading for the purposes of preservation and long-term holding, but very likely the two cards will not be listed for sale anytime soon. Always picking up action image variations from the 2021 Topps Heritage set. I have this as a complete set, and I like tricking out the base set. So if I can upgrade a normal base card to an image variation, kind of a fun thing to do. And for under $3, picking up one or two of these a month is a good deal for me. Up next here, we see Brett Butler and Jessica Mendoza, and those again were for in-person autograph opportunities, so we'll get to that. Quick note from the resale standpoint, I really don't like the way this middle one is listed. And this is a variation listing, so the same listing has a bunch of different cards, but I don't know what the heck this A8624 is. That's probably some inventory management system, but if you're a seller, please don't waste your precious real estate in the 80 character title limit. You should just use the custom label or SKU for anything inventory management related. And there's a couple other weird keywords here, but in any case, got a great deal on a mini Jessica Mendoza card from the 2016 Topps Allen Ginter set, and that is what I received from buying from that listing. The next few, also personal collection interest. I got all my Hunter Goodman and Brenton Doyle cards signed at Rockies Fest last month, I should say. So if you watched that video, you will see those successes, and it was time to restock on some in-person autograph opportunity cards. This next one, Big Fish here. 3 Mike Trout rookie cards, one of the most iconic cards of the 21st century. remember this price here, $876 all in, including shipping and taxes. That number will be eerily similar to another number you see from my financial performance, and we're going to talk more about these three, which will all be submitted for grading. The last three purchases, all in the Topps Gold category. I found a seller willing to combine shipping for these three listings, so got a pretty good purchase price on 100 cards even. The nicest ones in here that will be listed for sale on my shop soon are a Shane Bieber rookie card as well as a Walker Buehler rookie card. So that will help put a dent into the overall investment into these three lots. And I did keep a couple back for the Hall of Fame Topps Gold collection. So as you can see, not the most purchases. I definitely didn't buy as much as last month, but that's okay. I was focused more on selling, and then I also had some travel and personal stuff in the works, so couldn't devote as much time to my eBay store maybe as I wanted, but still pretty fun to make those purchases. So we'll talk for a few minutes here on what is my current mindset for grading. I will have a longer form video coming out on this because if you watch a lot of the YouTube content on grading, I feel like most of it is focused on stuff from seasoned graders, from folks who have been sending in for a long time. Well, I am with you in this journey if you have not done it before, because the video will be about my first ever submission to PSA, which is currently in the works. I just got a status update today that it has been marked as received in preparation for grading. And then I also have a really small submission with SGC, just 3 vintage cards that I actually dropped off at a local show where SGC attended in February. So this is all new to me, and this is my current mindset for grading. I put current parentheses because I feel like this is really subject to change. And really, my mindset is the trifecta. I want to find a notable player featured on a significant card with scarce characteristics. If I meet all 3 of these criteria, I think I'm in really good shape for grading. And 2 of 3 is basically a requirement for me. I don't want to just be sending in stuff of a notable player. It either needs to be significant or rare. And I feel like this, for me now, will bucket into 3 general eras: 1976 and earlier with a one-by-one analysis approach for the card at hand. And then for modern, which I call 2001 to 2019, this is where I want a PSA 8 value to be greater than or equal to the raw card value. So it can't just be a total basic card here. We're looking at about $20 range at the low end for the raw card value. And as far as ultra modern goes, which I say is 2020 to present, I want to be very highly selective on this, and I generally want to avoid it. Why? Well, just print runs are through the roof, and it's still so early with these rookies to know who will end up having a good career. So my first submission did include just a few cards from, I want to say, only 2023 as far as the ultra-modern era goes, but they were meeting the criteria for notable player, significant card, scarce characteristics. And if you watch that other video, once it gets released, I'm going to walk through all 39 cards I submitted and why I submitted them. I also want to submit cards with low volatility where waiting is okay. Because I am probably going to stick to sending in at the lowest rate possible from a company like PSA, I want to be okay waiting 3 to 4 months and trusting that the valuation of that card isn't going to totally tank in the time that it's getting graded. Whereas a lot of folks will submit prospects or unproven players, generally going to stick to folks where the values can be relatively stable in a 3 to 4 month time frame. And then right now, as far as which grading company, of course, there's a gazillion videos out here on this, but for my own interest, SGC is who I'm using for low to mid-grade vintage, and PSA for everything else. I joined the PSA Collectors Club, I think is what it's called, for this year, and probably this year only, unless it's just resoundingly successful. And most of my stuff probably will go to PSA just based on what I collect and what I turn inventory for. And as far as worries up front, the cost going into it, you really have to gotta leave a bunch of cash on the table for quite some time. Like I said, that 3 to 4 month waiting game before you even have a chance to recoup your original investment. The cash flow challenges that associate with that are not great from a business management standpoint. Going back to that theme, you really got to store that grain in preparation of famine, because you got to keep a buffer of cash, or at least some margin, to cover the expenses and then wait for the chance to resell them. And then finally, maybe the biggest con, just the variability and unpredictability of it. If you keep your money tied up for several months at a time and you get a grade coming back way lower than anticipated, that's not good, and you would have been better off doing something else. So a little bit concerned about the unpredictability. I'm by no means an expert on this. While I did visually inspect everything I submitted and surely have a lot to learn in that department, still the variability and unpredictability, even to a seasoned eye who's submitted many things to grading, I think is something to note as a con. So we'll see if this mindset changes as time goes on, as I get my first couple submissions back. But going into it, if you've never submitted before, this is at least where my head's at. And just as a quick example, all of these 5 cards pictured, I picked up this month in February. So 5 key rookie cards, 2 of which are gold, 3 of which are base. I picked them all up this month as part of my acquisitions for resale and personal collection purposes. The 3 on the left, Votto, Scherzer, and Kershaw from a really good rookie class in 2008. Yes, notable player. Yes, significant card. It's a rookie card, highly collectible. But is it scarce? No. Really simple to come by. In fact, if you were a collector in 2008, you could have gotten these really cheaply, or at least from a direct pack pull without much fanfare. But they've accrued in value because there are way more collectors now than there were in 2008, and all 3 of these players have had amazing careers. On the right, this is the perfect candidate for grading, in my opinion. You have a notable player, significant card, it's a rookie card, and it's scarce. They're all both numbered to 2011 out of that iconic 2011 Topps update set. So this is what I am applying to every card I submit. Pretty much at this point, got to have at least 2 of the 3. 3 of the 3, I think, is where the sweet spot is. And all of these cards that you're looking at are worth roughly $20 or more ungraded, which is approximately the grading fee. So even if the grades come back as total duds, you could potentially crack them and sell them as raw cards and recoup that grading cost. Not ideal, definitely not what you want, but it's not like we're dealing with 25-cent cards here. As mentioned, I've been trying to shed inventory this month, so let's go ahead and jump to my financial dashboard, which I affectionately called Hits Counter. Probably not the catchiest name out there, but because I have another web-based application for listing cards called Hits Lister, heck, we'll stick with this for now. So jumping to revenue for February, we were just under $1,400 in revenue with 4 different sources: order value, income, which is effectively credit card rewards at this point, charge shipping, and reimbursement. Quick comment here on the reimbursement category, but if you ship with eBay standard envelope postage, you need to know about the parcel insurance program. And I was able to get $7 and some change back this month from that parcel insurance program due to lost and damaged item claims from the month of January. So had a couple of these things. One apparently did not arrive. That's at least what the buyer said. And the other one came with significant creasing in 3 of the cards, which doesn't normally happen. In fact, that's my first damaged item request in well over a year at this point. So the nice thing is, if you use eBay standard envelope, it comes with that included insurance. So I was able to submit a claim and get that cash back into my pocket after issuing refunds and waiting just a couple of days after the claim. If you look at profit, last month in the video blog for January, I was saying, hey, I'm hopeful that February will bring a profitable month. And that was not the case. So The bottom line for February, negative $573.40, which you might be worried about just looking at the number, but you got to remember here, I cast a line into the lake of cards and went trout fishing here around February 8th, and this is when I picked up those 3 big fish, 3 Mike Trout rookie cards. So, of course, your overall numbers are going to be skewed by a big investment, a big purchase, and I haven't listed those for sale. I haven't submitted those for grading yet. So hopefully the profit will come based on that purchase in the future. But for the month of February, including all expenses, negative $573. But as mentioned, and also similar trend to last month, not too worried about that because I have some really neat inventory that is still available, and I have been picking up some really cool stuff for the personal collection. Last breakdown here is what I call personal versus business. Really what that means is business is stuff I'm trying to resell right away, so I buy it with the intention of profiting on it in the near term. Personal is more akin to a long-term hold or something that I am not immediately trying to resell. And so a decent ratio here on those expenses. You may be wondering, how does this compare to last month? Obviously, we want to see how we're doing over time. So I'm going to go ahead and toggle this to January. Eerily similar numbers here on revenue, just south on $1,400 for both January and February, which is a lot of fun because I really did not list as much this month. It was really trying to sell old inventory as opposed to new. So I was pretty happy that I basically reached last month's revenue totals on effectively stale inventory. The big difference here in terms of the categories comes in charged shipping. I sold a lot more bubble mailer and box orders, which is where I typically charge the customer for shipping for that ground advantage or better shipping, which is why the green bar is a lot higher for this month as compared to last month. And year to date, hopefully you remember what I paid for those Mike Trout rookie cards all in, because this number is within $5 of that, really close. So a psychological exercise that may make you feel better about losing $879 is, hey, you bought 3 Mike Trout cards and you have a bunch of other cool inventory and some personal collection keeps for that exact amount or very close to that. So not really worried about this loss this early. As mentioned, I do have that $800 or so expense with PSA that will hit the books soon, so not exactly where I want to be, but I'm in a pretty good position, and I think once I get that first grading order back, start to sell stuff, this number will start jumping up vertically in the positive direction as opposed to the negative direction like this big purchase. And the final breakdown here on the overall numbers, good trend here. I spent less money on the personal interest stuff in February, still higher than I normally do, so I think this red bar will get slimmer as time goes on, but better than January. We'll jump here to the project tab. I think it's important to keep track of specific projects. I'm going to reset to just February for the purposes of this video review, but starting with that bulk category, did pretty well here. You can see $137-ish in profit. This incorporates direct costs like fees, but it doesn't incorporate stuff like shipping, which I'll talk about here in a second. And so in total, $239 of revenue. That equates to about $137 after fees and such, and acquisition cost, I should mention. But the last thing is I do try to do a really conservative calculation related to shipping for these things, as well as overhead cost, like my eBay store subscription. And so really what it felt like is I made $42 of net profit in this month on the bulk category. The real number is somewhere between that 42 and 137. It's probably, I don't know, closer to the middle, but as time goes on, I refine my technique for this modeling, for this analysis. We will get a closer estimate, but between 42 and 137 of profit, which is good for this category. I did fix, if you watched last month, this sort was not working. mainly because it was treating everything as pesky strings because of a dollar sign. So I took the simple approach, removed that, and here we go. You can see what sold in February. Some fun stuff here, some bulk lots, as well as even some cards in the $5 to $20 range, which really adds up, especially considering I bought most of these for under a dime a card. So fun month for sure in the bulk realm. We've also talked about Topps Gold quite a bit, so let's see how we're doing there. You can see I did more selling than buying, had some nice jumps here, and that was empowered by grouping together some common cards into bulk lots and selling them at good prices. So $520 in revenue. If you factor absolutely everything in, it's as if I net profited $161 on Topps Gold parallels in this month. As mentioned, really the heavy hitters here came in the form of some bulk lots sold on both Reddit and eBay for these things. As a shameless sales plug, if you see anything on my eBay store now that you like, now is a perfect time to make an offer. It can even be semi-reasonable, not even necessarily reasonable, and there's a good chance I will accept or at least counter at something that's still way lower than the listed price. The reason for that is I'm trying to shed this inventory to cover expenses. So not great from a unit profit standpoint, but if you're a buyer, I am in the mood to sell things at a discount. So go ahead and check out the shop, and you can get some pretty good deals that normally I wouldn't list at these prices, maybe during the regular season or after I have all my bases covered. So going into the next segment, just remember this number here, and you be the judge. You tell me, is everything I picked up that I either haven't listed for sale or that I'm keeping for their personal collection, is that worth $573.40? The first three here came in the form of some through-the-mail autograph requests from Pat Neshek, one of my favorite players, personal collection interest, and you can see all three of these are Topps Gold parallels that I picked up as part of those bulk lots that I buy. So Pat's an awesome signer. Send him a letter, few cards, and a self-addressed stamped envelope, and he hooks you up. So slowly working on a gold run for him. Up next here, we're going to jump into spring training. So I'll just flip through these. I attended a Diamondbacks Rockies game. They play at the same facility, Salt River Fields in Scottsdale is the town that is in. And I started at the Diamondbacks practice, but really limited area, and this is a fun one, number to 99. Criswell collects, so I have a buddy who's been picking up some rare cards for him and should be getting them into his hands in the next month here. But the Diamondbacks area was just rather occupied and small. So I went over to my good friends on the Rockies side and had much better luck. One quick anecdote here. You'll hear a lot of videos talking about adults and kids seeking autographs and some etiquette there. Well, one maybe often not said benefit is that a lot of kids don't care about certain players. And so for a player like Sean Bouchard, I bought this rookie card number to 25 of him. I called him over. I was the only one seeking him out right before the game. He came over. He was awesome as usual. I've gotten him before. He signed for me, and then he proceeded to sign for just the massive influx of kids who came over. And these kids didn't care about him 5 minutes previous, but I was able to get him. He signed for me, and the kids may not know who he is, may just see his number. They may not know how to pronounce his last name, not the most common thing. And so I, as an older autograph seeker out there, can call him over and help the kids in the process because he'll stick around and sign for them and hopefully make their day. So that was kind of a fun story. Kessinger got him on the Diamondbacks side. Vodnik, he was really cool. Hampson, while pictured as a Rocky, he's actually a non-roster invitee for the Diamondbacks. And so you can see here, pretty good haul for just one day. at the Rockies and Diamondbacks facility. These two I really like. Bryant is just an awesome signer, which is really cool for a guy who won a Rookie of the Year, an MVP, and a World Series. He's had a tough stretch with injuries, but it was fun. I made the comment when he was signing these. I'm like, hey, really fun to see you signing cards with pictures of you signing things on them. And he was like, oh, man, that's awesome. So great guy. Great signer, really thrilled. I actually picked these up, I think bought them on December 31st. They showed up in my mailbox in January, and nice to get them signed so quickly. Now, I don't get cards signed for everything. That is my primary thing, but I did just want to show this off. I started a team ball last month at Rockies Fest, and the big thing this month is at spring training, I was able to get the manager Bud Black on the sweet spot, which, in my opinion, if you have a team ball, while it's great to get guys like Mike Redmond, who's a coach, Drew Romo, Tyler Kinley, it's really incomplete unless you get the manager on the sweet spot. And at home games in Denver, where I live at Coors Field, it's often tougher to get the manager. So really thrilled to get this one, and there's still plenty of white space going into the 2025 season, where I should hopefully be able to add some more Rockies to the 2025 team ball. So this next segment, also in-person autographs, and this is a really fun event I've been to a number of times, but it's called Innings Festival. It's baseball themed, and so in addition to the music, this year the main acts I was interested in were The Killers and Beck. They have some scheduled appearances and also some interview guests for a talk show that is actually organized by former pitcher Ryan Dempster. And after the talk show, you might be able to get some guys to sign as well. So the next few folks are from this event. We went for one day, and it was a lot of fun. Before jumping to the autographs, I'm going to hide the answer to this, but I actually was on stage for trivia hosted by Ryan Dempster. And unfortunately, I took second place out of 2, but it was a good time. I didn't make a total fool of myself, and I happened to get this question right. So after the event, Dempster gave me this cue card, which was really cool of him. But question number 5, last season, this player released the song OMG that hit number 1 on the iTunes Latin pop chart. All right, you've had enough time to think of it. The answer is Jose Iglesias. So I did get that question right on the big stage in front of probably, 30 or 40 people. And it was a lot of fun being on stage there with a former pitcher and my competitor who knew his stuff as well. So in the purchases section, you saw those Brett Butler cards. Well, Brett Butler is one of the nicest dudes out there, and so he actually signed all 8 of them for me and my wife. I did ask him, I said, hey, Brett, did you bunt as often as your pictures on your cards indicate? You can see these 3 here, all pictures of him bunting, which is not the most typical image you see on a baseball card. And he said, look up who has the most bunts in Major League history, and you might find that the answer is me, which is kind of funny. I did not know that trivia, but that's pretty cool. So he cited that as one of the reasons that he could play for quite some time. Up next, Chili Davis, really a stealthy, amazing career, including 3 World Series, 2 he picked up there in his twilight years where he still produced really well with the Yankees. Up next, this was an interview guest. So Mike Moustakas was part of the interview with Ryan Dempster at one of the live interview shows. Moustakas has started a podcast with a couple other former big leaguers, and he was real kind to stop by and sign afterwards. And the thing is, my wife got this one signed. Another autograph seeker who didn't have anything for Moustakas, he got this one signed for me, and then I got this one signed for myself. So all 3 will go straight to my personal collection. I don't think I've mentioned this outright before, but I don't sell any of these. If you go to my eBay store or anything I sell online, anything I get in person for free from someone volunteering their time, I just choose not to sell. And then I do choose to get cards signed that fit my personal collection. So I'm working on a signed 2021 Topps Heritage set. I'll never turn down a Topps flagship rookie with the signature on it, which is really cool. And then, of course, Topps Gold, as I've talked about way too much, getting these signed. So another guy as part of that podcast, it's called the Diggin' Deep podcast, is Peter Moylan. I was the only one around who had anything for Moylan to sign. I was the only one who asked him, so he was really cool. He had a kind of a neat career. He's Australian, which is not common in Major League Baseball. And then Eric Hosmer is another good get, another Topps rookie card from the 2011 update set, and another one for the 2021 Topps Heritage set. And so all three of those guys, Moylan, Moustakas, and Hosmer, are working on that podcast. So real fun to see them live and fun to get some signatures after their interview. Next here, Jessica Mendoza, gold medalist, silver medalist softball player. And now she covers the Dodgers, which is real cool. So fun meeting her, and also fun that she has some cards out there. So not too often that you see women in the sports cards products, but 2024 Topps, 2016 Topps Allen and Ginter features Jessica Mendoza. Next person from Innings Festival, Jake Peavy. He's a repeat guest. He's been there a bunch of years and one of the nicest dudes out there, really a good signer and fun to get a couple of cards from his World Series years as well as a gold parallel signed. And finally, I think this is my last get from Innings Festival, but a bunch of Ryan Dempsters, a gracious signer. All of these cards you're seeing here came from my bulk lot purchases and my Topps Gold purchases. So that's the other unwritten benefit of buying cards in bulk, is you can pick out the ones if you're in in-person autographs and get those signed. And it feels like the card is pretty much free. So Dempster, is fun being on stage with him. Great signer, and he was willing to put some ink on all of these for me. Before I move on to the next section, I guess I forgot to give a quick shout out, but at spring training, where I got all these cards signed, I actually ran into the guy from Nomaz Sports Cards, who has a real neat YouTube channel. I must live under a rock because I didn't learn about it until I met him, and then I started binge watching his stuff. He actually has a real cool video on how to get autographs at spring training, specifically the Rockies facility. And so if stuff like this interests you, I'll just point you to that video. Really good tips. And I can validate, he follows all of them. I think he gives 28 tips, and I saw him practice all of those in person. So some good validation there. So real nice meeting him. Awesome seeking autographs next to him for part of the day. And I do recommend his YouTube channel. And I'm not getting paid for this shout out. So I truly think he does have some fun content. A couple of private signing returns. These are for some signed sets that I'm working on. So sent these in, and I want to say it was $15 a pop to get David DeJesus to put his name on a 2009, 2010 Topps Allen and Ginter. Up next here, we have a 2021 Topps Heritage Action Image variation. You can see it says action there, and this will go into my complete set and upgrade the base card that I had for card number 669 from the Heritage High Number Series. Okay, the next stack here is my gold keeps. So I bought a few gold lots, not as much as normal, but I kept the following players. Chapman 2018, Tom Glavine, I love these 02s, Zach Greinke, future Hall of Famer, Vlad Guerrero, my first ever Ricky Henderson gold. He has a pretty premium market. Rest in peace, he recently passed away. I've never had a Ricky Henderson gold card, so this one numbered to 2002. Really an illustrious career. Just look at the number of teams he had played for by 2002. Very excited to get this one into the gold collection. I've decided recently to start picking up Andrew Jones. I've probably sold a bunch of him over the years, but really think his Hall of Fame case is solidifying, and I think he'll make it, so may as well hang on to the Hall of Famer. Martinez, Scott Rowland, a couple of Sabathias. Really like this 02 Topps Rookie Cup. Really a fun one from his days on the Indians. And then later on in his career, numbered to 2018, is him featured with the Yankees. Schilling should be in the Hall of Fame. I'll leave my comment there. Jim Thome and Larry Walker featured in a fun Purple Rockies jersey. So these were the keeps from the Topps Gold category in February. This is just a simple refractor, but found this at the local card shop for, I don't know, $1. And I like Votto as a future Hall of Famer. And in addition to Topps Golds, I'll often pick up flagship chrome refractors if the price is right. Okay, jumping in to some bigger boys. These are all cards that will be graded. So coming up here in March, my local card shop, Mike's Stadium Sports Cards in Aurora, Colorado, they're going to have a local drop-off with PSA. And so I will submit all of these. And there's some fun ones here. I've talked about these earlier in the video. In my opinion, all of these appear to be in pretty solid condition. You can see this one, the centering, a little rough left to right, but I'm probably not going to sell this one. I love Goldie, have a Goldschmidt jersey, and this one will probably just stay in the slab in my personal collection for quite some time. So not too worried about the centering there. Otherwise, pretty sharp card. The corners and the edges and everything else looks good. Altuve, similar story there. So excited to get some grades back on these. And Trout is obviously not excluded from that list. I think all three of these appear really nice, really nicely. This one might be the best of the bunch here. And then this one has a weird kind of print mark. I don't even know if you'll be able to pick up on it, but like right there, there's like a blue mark that appears to be a printing defect. So curious to know what a company like PSA would ding that as. I think in principle it's not a 10. Otherwise, the card looks really sharp. So maybe a 9 would be in play, but I'm not betting on that. For all of these that I'm submitting, PSA 8 would be the maybe expected grade, talking from someone who has no personal experience in the grading game. So fun batch of some higher value cards. We're talking triple digits for probably at least 5 of these. I think the 3 Trouts probably worth raw about 300 a piece. Altuve is probably, I don't know, 125, 150 raw or PSA 8. And then this Kershaw, I think, is worth quite a bit in high grade. I don't know how this one will shake out, but in any case, first time adding this to the stash. Never held this in my hand. So fun month there. All right, final 2. These are fun personal ones. Got these at Denver card shows in February. Nolan Jones, Brenton Doyle, Orange Sapphire Refractors, rookies, numbered to 25. Both players, super nice guys. They both collect cards, and so part of me might be interested in trying to get these in their hands. While they're not the true orange refractors that I think are more collectible, they're still numbered to 25. They're still rookie cards, and they're in awesome condition. So maybe I can get them in their hands. They might be interested in hanging on to these for their own collections. If not, I'll just get these signed. I think these would look just incredible with some ink on them. So we'll see what happens. Stay tuned. Hopefully in a future video, I'll have an update on these 2, which I got from a good dealer who had some really fun Rocky stuff at the Denver card shows. So that's it. You tell me, was it worth it? If you look at my loss for February 2025, was all this stuff worth it? My answer is yes. I'm biased because I'm the one holding them, but between submitting these for grading and then cards I'm keeping for long term, really think it was a productive month for the personal collection standpoint. So if you like this content, be sure to subscribe. I'll be doing this every month moving forward, and hopefully you learn some things and maybe see some cool cards in the process. We'll see you next time.